In a world where heroes touch our souls and give us hope, voice your vibe and join us in the green room to share your story, your family, and your fur babies. Join Brian Schulman.
One of the things that business owners forget a lot is to prepare for their own retirement.
Hi, my name's Nick Palavita, and today I'm with a very special guest, a certified financial planner, a chartered retirement plan specialist, and president of National Pension Partners, Max Couliet. Max, tell me what you do at National Pension Partners.
Well, Nick, we help successful small businesses and professionals put together retirement plans that provide them the maximum retirement benefits and big tax deductions at the same time.
Well, how do you do this?
Well, we get on an internet conferencing system with the client, we review their goals, what they want to accomplish, and then put together strategies to help them in implementing a retirement plan that benefits them, not everybody else.
Well, that sounds really good, but how much does this cost?
Well, it's really not bad because the first consultation is free. That allows us to go through and discover whether this strategy works for that business and for you as the business owner and helping you maximize your retirement.
Well, Max, how do we get this free appointment?
It's really pretty simple, Nick. You can either go to our website below or call us at 877-252-1692, and then we can set up a time with either myself, Nick, or one of our other retirement plan specialists, another CPA or advisor in the office to go over this with you and make sure it fits for you.
Hi, my name is Lewis Haupt. I work with National Pension Partners, and I work with businesses to allow them to put the maximum away that they can for themselves and to save taxes.
Hi, I'm Brad Coyle, and I'm the brokerage manager at National Pension Partners. We're always analyzing plan fund choices in order to ensure the participant's success.
If you want more information on how we can help you and your business put more money away in a retirement plan than you ever thought possible, contact us at the website below or call us at 877-252.
Welcome to National Pension Partners, where retirement planning meets peace of mind. Today, we're diving into the 412(e)(3 plan, also known as a fully insured pension plan. This isn't just any retirement plan. It's the gold standard for stability and guaranteed benefits. How does it work? Simple. It's funded exclusively by life insurance and annuity contracts. This means no market risks, no actuarial assumptions, just ironclad guarantees. Think of it like this. You're a small business owner who hates surprises. The 412(e)(3 plan gives you predictable, stable contributions every year. Your future benefits are backed by insurance contracts, so you know exactly what you're getting. No guesswork, no headaches. But there's more. These plans are designed to maximize your contributions and offer significant tax advantages. And with National Pension Partners, you're not just getting a plan, you're getting a team of experts, attorneys, CPAs, actuaries, all dedicated to making your retirement as secure as possible. We provide personalized consulting, ensuring that your plan is tailored to your specific needs. Best part? Initial consultations and proposals are absolutely free. $0, zero commitment. So if you want a retirement plan that's as reliable as your morning coffee, head over to nationalpensions.com. With the 412(e)(3 plan, your future is in safe hands. Retirement planning never sounded so thrilling. Perfect for small business owners who like their finances as predictable as Monday mornings. Stable contributions, ironclad guarantees, and serious tax advantages. It's the trifecta of financial security. And with National Pension Partners, you get a team of brainiacs, attorneys, CPAs, actuaries, ensuring your retirement is as secure as Fort Knox. Oh, did we mention the free consultations? That's right. You get a personalized expert proposal with $0 down. So, if you want a retirement plan that's as reliable as your morning coffee, head over to nationalpensions.com. Because when it comes to your future, boring is the new exciting. Retirement planning never sounded so thrilling. For more details, check out National Pension Partners at nationalpensions.com. Retirement planning never sounded so thrilling.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the media show on the Pod TV network. I'm Nick Pallavito. I'll be one of your speakers today, and we have a guest from around the United States, Kim Calhoun's joining us from the Raleigh-Durham area. We have Mark Lee, who's joining us from also the Raleigh-Durham area, and Rick.
And Rick's trying to join us, but it keeps bouncing out. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I don't know what his issue
What happened to Sasha today? I haven't seen him all day.
Well, Sasha is actually on vacation. Not all of us can afford a trip to Aruba, but he would probably be not doing the Russia, Ukraine, China show for a couple of days and everything because he and his wife are in Aruba. I think this is like their regular vacation spot and everything. So they will be handling that discussion, even though I know that he is the expert in this particular field and all along those lines. But yeah, that's what's going on is he's having that trip to Aruba. You know, we all wish we could go there. Even Jacoby wishes that he could be in Aruba, even though he's got some games going on in his world and everything. So I'm going to actually divert away from the war in Ukraine because we've also got sports stuff going on in the media as well. And I've got something to tease Rick about, and then we can come back to the war in Ukraine and everything. But Jacoby, you're in the sports world. We got a sports thing going on. It's a team of 12, and Alabama's not going to be there. So apparently we've got this college playoff series, and Clemson will be there, a powerhouse, and Oregon Ducks, I think, #1. But Alabama's not going to be in the house. So this is like shocking news to some, but they do have 3 losses. So any thoughts around how this playoff is going to work and whether it's going to get lots of media coverage?
It's going to get a heck of a lot of media coverage. It's been a long time coming. It should have happened a long time ago. And there's nothing wrong with Alabama not being there. It made sense for Alabama not to be there due to the fact that going into the championship games, Alabama was rated lower than SMU. And Alabama wasn't in a championship game. So therefore, how could Alabama didn't do anything to prove that they were better than SMU. SMU losing in a championship game, they only had 1 loss. Alabama had 3. Alabama has now put out there that they're going to make a cakewalk schedule. They're going to make it easier for their non-conference games, but it doesn't make any sense to argue that when their biggest losses, their 2 big losses to 2 6-6 teams, were in the conference that they're playing in. So it's idiotic to say, well, we're going to make it. No, dude, win your games and then you can make it. So, yeah, it wasn't a big deal.
This is brutal, though. It could add 4 games to an already 12-game season. And if you watch college ball, those guys are more reckless with their bodies than the pros are, a lot of them. And, I mean, at least they're getting paid with NIL. Like, what's his name at CU gets $6.2 million a year for quarterbacking.
Shedeur Sanders. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
another tragedy. They were 1 win away from making the playoffs.
I have to make an argument for my university. University of Miami had a better season than Alabama. If you look at it, they only lost 2 games. Both of them were like less than 6 points. And 2 teams that made the playoffs: Syracuse, which is 8-3, and Georgia Tech, which held Georgia like to an 8-time overtime game. So you look at, they lost to 2 really good teams, and they won all their other games. We look at what's the name? Alabama. Oh, they lost to Vanderbilt, that powerhouse, and then they also lost to Oklahoma, which was 6-6.
You could do like an NIT thing that, like they do in basketball. You could have an also-ran tournament of eight.
But that's what the other bowl games are.
Okay, so the University of Miami would have been a better choice than Alabama. Unfortunately, they lost their last game of the season, and so unfortunately, the Pop-Tart Bowl. What a horrible bowl name, Pop-Tart, to play Iowa State. That's like punishment. But I have to give Cam Ward a lot of credit. He's going to play in the game. Usually the problem with the bowl games, the top players quit. They go, I'm going to the NFL, I'm done.
They go to the NFL and everything like that.
That's what happened with Florida State last year, is that, after they lost their quarterback and they didn't make it into the actual playoff, they decided to sit every player. They didn't want to even play. So,
well, I don't have to worry about this because
they were screwed by the CFP. Just because you lose your quarterback, you're 13-0. All the other kids deserve to be in the playoffs. Period. The end. No more story. So when the CFP put Alabama in or Georgia instead of Florida State, they basically robbed all those kids. So that was a bad decision. I can't blame them for not showing up. But
I don't blame him for not
unfortunately,
showing
in
up,
this
but
case,
Nick,
they
Nick,
didn't. No one robbed them. They don't have a defense. And so,
they don't have a defense, but Nick, I can't speak for that because my school doesn't have a football team. Hasn't had one probably since the Rose Bowl of like World War One or World War II. Since we haven't had one in decades and everything, but we do have a good basketball team that is in the top 10. So definitely, and split the games last week. We lost to Iowa State, but then beat our home state rival of Wisconsin. So Marquette is doing good, probably better than they've done since the D Wade era and everything like that. At least starting. Also, we'll see if that maintains, since that Big East can be brutal and everything. But I was gonna tease you, Rick, because I was watching this commercial since we're the media show and everything, and I'm going like, yes, it sounds wonderful. It sounds like it would be wonderful if it was true and everything, because everybody, you kind of alluded to it because you love telling off-color jokes every once in a while, Rick, and everything. But there is this new product out there called Cupid that is supposedly a cologne made of pheromones, and it's supposed to like make every woman go crazy off of you if you go and buy a bottle of Cupid. So it's out there. I think you can get it off of.
Yeah, people have been claiming pheromones for decades, and I've yet to see one that is real.
Okay, can we sell it on our network?
Well, we'll see if we can sell it on that network, because I'm thinking that Kim's not gonna some man if he's got some Cupid cologne on and everything. Even though if you watch the commercials, it claims that even like these older gentlemen are pulling young ladies and people left and right because they've got this particular cologne on. And I'm going like, not
the way to pull ladies is to be 88 years old and worth, more than $15 million.
Okay. At least we know the answer to the question now. Okay, are we going to get to the war in Ukraine now that we discussed ladies and we also discussed the college football thing? Unfortunately, Sasha is not here, and Dr. Lockwood, who is invited, is in doctor appointments. He actually has medical appointments. So here's my problem with the war in Ukraine. I get mixed information from World War III is going to start next week to Russia has lost tons of people to Ukraine's lost tons of people to they're going to settle everything tomorrow. So what's going on here? Does anyone know? Are we going to be in World War III, or is everybody going to go home?
This war has been going on for a while. I don't think we're going to have World War III, even though I am somewhat wondering, since the Syrian president apparently is now hanging out and maybe they're playing poker together with President Putin over there in Russia and everything. But they did allow him to go from Syria after he got deposed to Russia. So he got exiled and now he's living in Russia and everything. So they've got their own problems in Syria, but he's going to be hanging out with Putin and everything. But it's kind of like comes back to what I said earlier. I think a lot of people are frustrated by the amount of money that is being spent on the war. They're frustrated by the amount of deaths that are going on in this war, and they're frustrated by a number of other things. I can tell you that even here in this local area, I've had a number of people that are going like, we're spending all this money on because we just did the economic show, all this money on the war in Ukraine when we've got issues like homelessness in our own backyard and everything like that. So there are a number of people that are frustrated just by the nature of the war and how it's impacting our economy.
Mm-hmm. But is there any settlement in sight? I mean, it seems to me one guy wants to take it over and the other group says, I don't want to be taken over. And between them, all you have is carnage. I mean, is there any possibility for settlement? What's your thoughts, Rick?
Europe's been giving Ukraine more money than the U.S. has. And we've been pretty tardy. Even if we allocate, we're pretty slow to get it over to them. So I think Ukraine can keep on doing what it's doing, which is hanging in there. I don't think the U.S., with Trump, the loss of, if Trump stops aid to Ukraine, I don't think that necessarily makes Ukraine freak out and decide to, settle before things get worse. I think they can continue fighting their war, or not their war, Russia's war.
I mean, he said he was going to end the war in the first day he came into office, and I do not buy that because I'm hearing his meetings with Zelensky and others, and I don't know that it's going to end on January 20th and everything. I mean, for the sake of the world and the sake of people in general. I hope that that's the case, but I am skeptical, even though he is a great salesman and everything, as to whether he's going to be able to pull that off and everything.
Let's fix that term. He's a con artist. He's a con man. It's not a salesman. But the thing is, the problem is, for example, when he won the election, he supposedly called Putin. Well, the day he called and told Putin to knock it off or whatever, and he put that out there. Well, on that same day, there was one of the largest strikes in Ukraine. So he doesn't have the pull that he thinks that he has. And yes, there you have two sides that one invaded the other. And Zelensky says that he won't agree to anything without conditions, and Putin won't give conditions, and Trump won't force Putin to give conditions. So it's not going to end for a while. Plus, you have a weakening of Russia due to what's going on in Syria, because Russia backs Syria and backs Assad. So with Bashar al-Assad now being in asylum in Russia, is Russia going to now send troops to Syria to try and take back Syria, because Syria's taken over by those individuals there? Now you have that going on, and you also have what's happening with Israel and Palestine, and then you also have, the whole Middle East powder keg is still a powder keg. It's still very volatile, and that's going on. So we're not going to end up in World War III. We're just going to have military conflicts that are steadily going to go on, even with Trump in there, and he's going to claim that this is just like with Afghanistan. He says there were no wars when he was in office. Well, there was still Afghanistan,
plenty of wars,
a bunch of other conflicts going on. So yeah, he's going to come in claiming, oh, this is Biden's fault.
But you know what? It was kind of difficult to have a war during COVID, right? Nobody was crossing the borders, killing anyone, because COVID was killing everyone. So I think, you had a moment of time where people put their battles down and fought the other devil. So, I think a lot of things that Trump takes credit for was due to COVID, just like they said that Kumo even said it this morning. We had very few people crossing the borders during Trump because COVID, they weren't going anywhere. So, I think you have to take a look at these things. So, my question is he going to cause another COVID to, take care of all the problems?
With who he's throwing in the health department, yes, there's going to be another epidemic.
I'm more worried about sexual offenses, sex trade, sex trafficking, and rapes with who he's putting into office, and those kind of things than I am right now of COVID, except for Kennedy, right? What was Kennedy's book about? The conspiracy theory. Nick just left. I'm sure he read it. Did anyone read it?
I didn't read that book. I have no idea, but I was getting ready to show something really quickly, because we talk about the war in Ukraine, and I know we've got a whole show about the war in Ukraine, and I'm not saying that that's not a worthwhile discussion to have and everything, but there are a number of conflicts that we don't even cover here, and I don't even think that the national media covers them, and all along those lines, and even the international media. I was curious to know what folks thought about what's going on in the world, because as you see, this is the countries that are currently at war, and as you see, there's a whole list, including Mexico. Our folks to our border and everything are in a war that has had massive casualties. I think they said like 7,000. I'm guessing that part of that is the drug war and everything. But Ukraine, Palestine, which we know, Myanmar, Sudan, Nigeria, Somalia is at war, which is an African nation and everything. And there's a number of them that are out there. So there's like 39 countries that are at war, and some of them only have small casualties. Like apparently there's only been 8 casualties in China.
That's 20% of the countries on Earth.
Right. That's 20% of the countries on Earth that are at some form or fashion of war.
Do we know what the history of is that like normal, or are we, I guess, how many,
Yeah, I mean, you're talking Colombia, 1,800. You're not talking about a lot of people.
Right.
You know, South Sudan, we know they're having conflicts. India, who are they at war with?
So India's been at war with Pakistan for,
Yes,
I don't know, 70 years. And they're at war up in like the north in the Himalayas, where they don't even use guns because they really don't want it to escalate. They fight with rocks and sticks.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many of these are wars or they're just skirmishes going on. Tanzania, 18. You're not talking about a lot of people. China, who are they at war with? 8 people? I mean, I don't know where you're getting this data from.
It's from Data Panda, and like I said, some of the numbers don't make sense because they say 187 for Russia, and I know that that's probably many more than that, but they do say that it was several thousand for
Yeah, let's move it up to the top. Let's go take a look at the top. It has to be Ukraine, 20,000.
Yeah,
that's a lot higher. I mean, I think Data Panda needs to find another bear. So I'm not sure how reliant their data is.
Well, we'll find another one, but just the fact that there's all these wars going on in the world, like you just said, that's 20%, and everything, and there were conflicts.
Better name. Conflicts. It sounds more like it's a conflict mark than it's a real war, and they go on all the time. I wouldn't be surprised about that. So, but I don't know if there's really a solution to the Russia versus Ukraine conflict, because so many people have died, so many buildings have been destroyed. The hate is incredible between both those countries right now, that I'm not sure if we're going to see a resolution anytime soon.
I mean, but isn't part of the problem? I mean, we've even seen it on this network and everything, but if you have such a hatred of the opposite side that the only good one is the dead one, because we've heard even people on various shows say that and everything. So there seems to be some serious conflict where they like apparently the only good one is a dead one, and that's been said at a number of war conflicts, whether that was Britain and Ireland, whether that was Ukraine and Russia, whether that was a number of these conflicts that have gone on around the world, even Eritrea and Ethiopia and everything. So you find some people that are basically like, you know, they don't see where they can get along. So this notion of peace doesn't even exist in their mind.
Yeah. Well, this new development also with Syria. Does anyone know where Assad went?
He went to Russia.
He
went to Russia.
Went to Russia.
Yeah.
Russia says they're giving him asylum for humanitarian reasons.
Yeah, they said they would get him.
Reasons.
Yeah, he might be hanging out playing poker with Putin. I just said that earlier.
Okay, that's an interesting place to go to. So Assad actually went to Russia. So who's running Syria right now?
Rebels are trying to form a government, but I don't know how many different rebel groups there are, and some they range all the way from evil with ISIS to probably, not evil. But
yeah, well, I'm just curious who's going to run Syria right now, and how did Assad fall so fast? I mean, he had an iron grip over that country, and then all of a sudden it was gone.
But when you talking about fall fast, he was in office for decades.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He was there for decades. Yeah. He was entrenched.
I hear a one sentence thing, but I don't know how accurate it is and what the dimension. I know very little, but they say because Russia, is so tied up in Ukraine that they either didn't want to or couldn't continue to prop him up, and once they pulled their support, it was over pretty fast. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Well, when Assad started gassing people back in, what was it, 2010? Wasn't it Russia that came in to prop up Assad big time then, and then they've been there ever since?
Yeah, it could be. I think that was the case. Hey, I had a question for Nick, since he's a big fan and he follows Chinese government and all along those lines, and he even posts our stuff to China and its websites and everything. But this article came out in Politico, and it says that East Asia is the most serious threat to world peace, and an eruption here is hotter and bigger than anything the Middle East or Europe could conceivably produce. We know that South Korea, which is an ally of ours, just did martial law, and even this article says the Biden administration leaves behind a strong diplomatic legacy in Asia, in contrast to its failure in Afghanistan and mixed record in Ukraine in the Mideast. So what is our thoughts about this notion of maybe not even Ukraine and Russia, but that whole area around Taiwan, China, South Korea, and North Korea really being the hot spot that could lead to that thing that nobody wants, which is called World War III?
Well, I mean, here's the answer that I get from my friends at Understanding China. And I'm going to try to get a show on China, getting somebody from China here. This is going to take a while because they're very reluctant to come on. But their arguments are that we're in basically a non-aggressive country. In other words, the U.S., they can cite that we have like 800 military installations around the world. We have a huge budget that dwarfs the top 10 combined in military. That we've been in war more than any other country on the planet. And China goes, what wars have we been in? We defended ourselves against Japan. We're not going to talk about Tibet because they believe Tibet was part of them anyway. But outside their borders, who have they been aggressive? I'm talking about military aggressive. Have they invaded other countries? Did they invade North Korea? Did they invade Vietnam? Did they invade anybody? So the arguments that my friends in China have posted is we're non-aggressive compared to the U.S. and objectively, I think they're correct. But Rick,
and China can, I keep saying this, can afford to be patient because they have 4 times the population of the U.S. They have an increasingly highly educated population. They have more than 150 industrial cities with populations of more than 1 million. They'll be able to outproduce us. Or at least
they'll have the biggest GDP in the world. But if you look at it and you look what they've transformed over the last 3 decades, they went from basically a third world country to one of the top countries in the world, militarily, economically, intellectually. I mean, so they've made tremendous progress during this period of time. Where in the United States, we basically are trotting along with a 3% GDP, and they're moving along and clipping at 8%. They become
the only thing they want is Taiwan. If they can somehow get the world sufficiently distracted, they might try to take Taiwan because Taiwan makes the world's chips.
Yeah, makes the world's chips and everything. Hey, Nick, along that same lines, I kind of alluded to it earlier, and I don't know, maybe Toby wants to jump in this as well. Because even when Reagan was in office and there was that whole war on drugs, we've talked about it. I think even Trump has talked about it with this notion of deportation and everything. But I said that literally just down to the south of our border, there is literally a civil war going on because of the stronghold that the cartels have and everything. And the same can be said to some degree around Haiti, which is also south of us and everything. So what is our take on this violence that is not that far away? Because, I mean, like I said, Mexico isn't that far away. And we've even seen it spill over into the United States because there are some of those wars are more the traditional wars of one country against the others. But then there are internal wars, which is what I think they were referring to when they said
Trump wants to buy Greenland. But we should talk Trump into buying Mexico. Then we own Mexico. Then we can go in there. We can clean out the cartels. We can, legalize a lot of the drugs that the one reason the cartels are in power there is because drugs are illegal in the U.S., but there's still a huge demand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you look at cartels that way, they're basically operating as illegal corporations in the country of Mexico. That's kind of it. But I don't see where the U.S. is going to be taking over Mexico anytime soon.
No, I mean, we tried a few times in the 19th century, I think. I don't know. We took
War of 1812.
Yeah, 1812. I know they
or
we took a lot of property from Mexico back in 1812.
Yeah, the Gadsden Purchaser, but we just need to keep buying more and more strips, slicing off more and more. Here's $500 million. We'll buy 2 more miles into Mexico. Eventually, we get most of it.
Well, we've already heard. Speaking of media stories, we've already heard. You said Greenland, but Trump has said that he wants to make Canada the 51st state and everything, even though it's actually several provinces. But I think it would be like 51 through 54 or 51 through 55, since I can't remember how many provinces Canada has off the top of my head. But he's talking about this notion of literally, I think he even told Trudeau directly to his face that he wanted to bring Canada into the United States.
All North America should be one country. Then we have no land borders, except like 50 miles down around Panama.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that would actually be efficient because then you could have a border. It would be the border on the end of Mexico, and that would actually work.
Now you guys are talking about there is no border. This is an excuse because no matter what it is, if we purchased Mexico, Trump is going to try and deport all brown people somewhere else. That's who Trump is. It's not about them being Hispanic or whatever. There's melanin in their skin, and Trump is trying to move them somewhere.
Well, Trump likes to sell stuff. Trump could sell bleach, Trump bleach, so that it makes brown people not brown.
So we're going to have the Trump bleach and everything. But to your point and everything, so does this mean that Trump is going to bring back the whole argument that Marcus Garvey has? Because Marcus Garvey literally created a line, a cruise, well, not a cruise line, but a shipping line that was trying to get more of us that are minority oriented to go back to Africa and all along those lines. So is Trump going to try to bring this notion back, which was a little bit after slavery, if I remember correctly and everything? But I remember there was that whole line that was supposed to take a lot of people back that I believe it was Garvey created.
Isn't Liberia like the country that he wanted to send people to?
Yes.
Well, Liberia, I thought, was a country that people from the U.S. left to create their own African state. But if we look at in reality, aren't we all Africans? I mean, that's what I looked at from history. That maybe I'm wrong.
Hitler wanted to do the same thing.
From Africa.
The Black Star, by the way, I was correct. It was the Black Star Line. It was from 1919 to 1922, so it was about 100 years, and it was a shipping line incorporated by Marcus Garvey, the organizer of the United Negro Improvement Association.
Jacoby this question. Jacoby, aren't we all Africans?
Technically, yes, because that's where everyone originated from.
Yeah, I mean that's what I thought. So it's everybody on this panel is African, whether they like it or not. And Donald Trump,
Hitler wanted to
to
move the Jews before he decided to kill all the Jews. Hitler considered moving all the Jews to Madagascar.
You're gonna love this one, Nick, because this is one of our favorite whipping boys and everything. But as I'm looking at Wikipedia, it says the Black Star Line became a key part of Garvey's contribution to the Back to Africa movement, but it was mostly unsuccessful. Get this, partly due to infiltration by FBI agents. So as usual, the FBI find a way to mess up something.
But here's a question, not to change the subject, but kind of. And we're gonna show Nick's black side here, since he's found out that he's African. Nick, there is actually something in the media. I guess we haven't really talked about it much, but there is a big news story in the media that's in the rap world still, with Drake suing UMG because he feels that they promoted Kendrick Lamar above him. However, he's claiming that they use the same tactics that he said that he's already been using. My question comes to in the media, and this is open for everybody because this deals with art, the arts world. Will Drake suing, well, technically Kendrick Lamar, for losing a rap battle, will this have an effect on the arts world where people will be afraid of dealing with, they may be fearful of defamation lawsuits because of what Drake is doing?
I don't think so. And every time there's a lawsuit, the lawyer rings their bell. Ding, ding, ding. Money comes in the door. So when you sue somebody, one thing that happens, the lawyers always win.
So the rappers don't really consider.
Lawyers don't always win.
Yeah, like if rappers aren't
don't come up against me, baby.
if rappers have had to contend with getting shot if they say something mean. So like if they are going to keep saying mean stuff, in face of getting shot, they're not going to give a crap about lawyers.
No, I think that I think that we're going to see a lot, that we'll have a lot to talk about on January 20th. There's a lot of backroom gossip or rumors, and some are true. I feel like some of this is true based on what certain people are doing right now, preparing for it. But I believe that you're going to see a lot of interesting activity that day, and a lot of people get arrested and camps being set up. I see that you're going to, Trump will do a state of an emergency, and he'll do a habeas corpus, and he will have a lot of people arrested who try to stop him and prevent him from doing what their plans are that day moving forward. Yes,
in a related development, if this is a great time to stay inside so you don't run into Trump's brown shirts out on the streets. The Golden Globe nominations are out, and since this is the media show, it's the best bunch of shows like in a long time. My wife and I have watched a ton of these shows that are nominated, and it just shows that this is the golden age of TV.
So what are some of the TV shows, and then got to get to one of your other favorite topics too, but what are some of the ones that got nominated?
Let me pull it up.
Well, Rick, while you're pulling that up, honestly, that brings up a good point, because I've been meaning to tell you, Rick, because one of the new movies that came out last year, it was I finally got to watch it. It hit Hulu, but Boy Kills World. I think you'd enjoy that. It's basically, if you remember the old Grindhouse movie, well, they're not old. Yeah. It's basically Grindhouse meets Kung Fu, and it's a funny story. It's one of the funniest movies I've seen in a while. It's as gory as the Deadpool Wolverine stuff.
Okay.
But it is throwback Grindhouse. It is really, really one of those movies. It's just sit back and just laugh, because it's just stupid.
Like great. Hey,
here's the nominees for TV: The Diplomat with Kerry Russell, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Donald Glover, and what's her face, Shogun, good, Slow Horses, good, Squid Game, great, Day of the Jackal, great, I guess, I don't know, Abbott Elementary, The Bear, super great, Hacks, awesome, Nobody Wants This, pretty funny, Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, I love that one. Woo! That's my favorite.
The Gentleman, which is like cool British people doing cool stuff with some mayhem. Baby Reindeer.
That's a good one.
Yeah. The Lyle and Eric Menendez story. Ripley, the Penguin. True Detective with Jodie Foster.
It's got some good ones.
So, I think, in all honesty, out of those, watch Shogun's going to take a lot.
Yeah, Shogun's going to take a lot.
Really.
Murders Only in the Building.
That was a good show.
I am so sucked in. In fact, I ended up, because it just didn't play very well on my TV, like through whatever system I have, I just bought the DVDs and I just got them, and I'm going to binge it because I am sucked in. Like, it is good. And then Nobody Wants This. Is that on the list? I didn't hear.
It was. Yeah, it is.
I love that show.
Yeah, that's Kristen Bell falls in love with a rabbi, and
actually she's well, in that same vein. And Rick, you can help me on this one. I think Kim might like What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, it's the last season. You got a ton of seasons, like 6 seasons to watch. It's about a bunch of incompetent vampires living in New Jersey.
They said it as a reality TV show too.
I can't believe my sister hasn't told me. What's it called?
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yep.
T.D. Waikiki is. Did you watch Jojo Rabbit, about a kid whose imaginary best friend is Hitler? A great freaking movie about World War II.
Hey, Rick, just really quickly, and that was a great narration of what some of the awards are. But I do have a question about AI that I was going to get to, because this is the media show and all along those lines. And apparently the Los Angeles Times owner, Patrick Soon-Shiong, has recently announced plans to introduce, and I love this if they can pull it off, but I don't know how they're going to pull it off, an AI-powered bias meter for news at the paper.
Yeah,
it's not clear how it's going to work.
All right, so you're going to get me started bitching about the LA Times.
Yes.
The LA Times, this billionaire buys it. It doesn't make money. It's tough for newspapers to make money now. So now it's down to 30 pages, including, I don't know, like 6 pages of ads. It's so freaking thin. And he's making it's pretty MAGA now. The editorial staff wanted to endorse Harris, and he said, no, we're not going to do an endorsement. And now he hired Scott, who's the guy that pisses everybody off on CNN?
Scott Jennings.
Scott Jennings. He's hired Scott Jennings to be an op-ed guy there. And now this bias thing, if it works, would be kind of interesting, but I highly doubt it's gonna, it'll probably measure bias the way Fox is fair and balanced. Like, okay, here's the thing that really pisses me off more than anything else. So he got a deal on printing, where they print the paper for cheaper, but they need to get the paper to the printer now by like 5 p.m. every day, which means there are no more sports scores in the LA Times. One of the main reasons you read the paper is to see the sports scores. I mean, now we can go online now, and it's like it's not that big a loss, but it's a pleasure to see the sports coverage the morning after, but no more with the LA Times.
Well,
yeah,
no more with the
no,
LA
I agree.
Times.
I mean, I just recently though saw a newspaper, Raleigh newspaper, on a counter at one of the little convenience stores I go into every once in a while. And I was impressed that somebody was actually reading it. I haven't bought one in a long time because a long time ago, my therapist told me I had to quit reading the news for a while because I was getting so depressed, distraught, aggravated, anxious. And so, my husband cut me from it. Like we've been getting it for 30 years. And so I was even more depressed at first. It was like withdrawals. It would be like taking away somebody's cell phone. And but the newspaper I always believed had some integrity until MAGA took over.
One more thing to bitch about the LA Times. So we subscribed for 30 years, and until we got pissed at it getting crappy. And we looked, they send us a bill every once in a while. We pay the bill. I finally go, how often are they sending us these bills? We did the math. We were paying over $1,400 a year for this sad little newspaper.
$1,400?
$1,400.
I never added up what I was spending. I think it was like $1 a day or something.
Yes,
$4 a day for the freaking lousy.
Wow. I was on $1 a day prescription.
Kim, we have some breaking news and everything, because apparently they said it's because of the guy has a gun similar to what a farmer would use to put down animals, but apparently they have moved in and have arrested somebody that they suspect is the shooter of that United Healthcare person. So they said that the authorities say the gun used in the United Healthcare CEO shooting resembles what farmers use to put down animals, and apparently they found this gentleman that I guess they have in custody as of now. So he's not been convicted.
I just want to take a vote. How many people believe that the police are just going to find a scapegoat and arrest just anybody?
I don't know. They got pictures of him. He's people. One thing they're talking about is he's a good looking guy. So I don't know if they'll.
Man, I mean, did you watch the Saturday Night Live spoof on this?
The Saturday Night Live spoof got a lot of pushback.
They were pretty rough on it. They're like, here's a guy who shot somebody in, bold daylight, jumps on a bike, gets on a bus, takes a water taxi, and evaded the police completely. But they got photos of him everywhere. I mean, and they have, I don't know if y'all knew this, but they had photos of him coming into New York from Atlanta. And photos of him getting his hotel room or a hostel room. I mean, they had all of this information about where he was, I think they're wrongly labeling him an assassin. The guy who killed Mike Lynch and Colbert and Bloom, that guy's an assassin. He was paid to kill those people.
Well, that's
this guy, I think, is a crime of passion, Robin Hood kind of archangel come to the defend of people.
Well, let's clear up the gun for a second. So this farm gun, I guess it's partially silenced because when you're shooting animals on the farm, you don't want these other animals to freak out. So I guess it makes less noise than a regular gun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. What were you going to say, Toby?
I was going to say, I mean, if the individual who jumped up or climbed on top of the building to shoot at Trump, who was a Republican, was that an assassination attempt or was that attempted murder?
Because he wasn't paid, right? He wasn't working for anyone. He was working for himself. I don't think that was an assassination attempt. I think that was an individual thinking he was saving the world. Totally different. And the reason why they want assassination on this is a person who commits assassination, gets a worse penalty charge. So
I mean,
murder is murder.
For example, the guy who went out and if the act itself, so the guy who shot Ronald Reagan in the chest, was that an assassination attempt or was that attempted murder?
Murder.
So that was murder and not assassination?
Right.
Assassination is somebody that is usually a hired hand.
It's a hired hand.
No, if you look if you look at the U.S.'s presidential assassinations, I don't think anybody got paid for any.
Nope.
No, but I think that they've been wrongly accused.
Well, let's look up the definition. I looked that up earlier.
So, for example, the individuals who assassinated Martin Luther King Jr., was that assassination or was that just murder? I think we're getting.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that this is something that we need to debate. It's some crazy.
I posed the question about what constitutes an assassination and criteria when, if you say what this person did is an assassination, yet what happened to Stephen Colbert, Mike Lynch, and Bloom was not, that it was just an unusual set of consequences. I beg to differ. I think that was an assassination in the world of definition of assassination.
Who are these guys you're talking about?
You don't remember the yacht that went down in Sicily, and then his partner, the Stanley Morgan people who won the lawsuit against Hewlett Packard?
I don't know any of this.
So all of that happened back in August. In fact, I heard more about it.
I remember a boat went down, but I don't remember.
Well, in Sicily, a boat went down, a yacht went down, and then the guy's business partner, within a few days, was killed while I think jogging, and then I think Bloom, one of the other partners and members of the board, was also on the yacht. So, but they had just won their lawsuit in their favor, and it was Hewlett Packard was suing them, and I just think somebody at Hewlett Packard wasn't happy about how they won, and but to me that it's not a bunch of unusual
hold a second. The definition is to murder a usually prominent person by sudden or seeking attack, often for political reasons. That's the definition.
For political reasons.
Of an assassination.
So it could be considered an assassination.
So if it's considered an assassination, then that individual would have to be labeled an assassin.
Right.
So was it for political reasons? You need to know what the intent was.
Because it says the other definition is assassination is the willful killing by a sudden, secret, or planned attack of a person, especially if prominent or important. It may be prompted by political, ideological, religious, personal, financial, or military motives.
Financial or military.
Well, we know it was political because of what he wrote on the shell casings, which is...
it was delay, deny, depose, which tells me that someone he loved died probably, because to have written it that way, I would have said something more on the lines of delayed, denied, and died. But because people died tremendously from the policies of insurance policies. But I have to run. I apologize for getting involved in this conversation and then diving, but I have to go help another show. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Yeah, no problem at all. But yeah, that's one of the other things that was out there. Y'all were talking about TV shows. Where's any of those shows? Because and I don't know how y'all feel about it, but even during Thanksgiving, several shows were talked about in my family that folks were surprisingly that they liked them. And I don't know if I've talked to you about them, but I know that a lot of people were big fans of Tracker, the new version of Equalizer. And the one that surprised me that it's getting a lot of rave reviews, including members of my family, because it looked, when I first saw it, I was like, this is going to be silly. But it actually turns out to be pretty good. And it's Elizabeth or something like that. I forget how it's pronounced, but it's the one where she's a lawyer and she's an older lawyer. And
all those are network.
Yeah.
And my wife and I are snobs now. We have a hard time with network because they over explain stuff. It's like,
and that Rick, I'm gonna get you on the cartoon stuff too, on cartoons and anime. I got to get you in there.
I just started watching James Gunn's Creature Squad.
Oh, I got to get you some better ones.
Okay.
Did you watch? Because in terms of Dungeons and Dragons, one of the biggest spoofs. I don't know if I've told you about this one.
I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons guy in general, but
I think, hold on real quick, Mark. I think you would enjoy this because it is just comedy at its finest.
Okay.
It's called Vox Machina.
Okay.
But speaking of comedy. Yeah, speaking of comedy at its finest and everything, isn't that what is making, and I understand that not everybody is being into network television, but isn't that part of what is making some of these shows somewhat popular? Because Elspeth is totally somewhat comedy as well as a little bit of a parody and things along those lines. So that's the whole notion of maybe we've had some better comedy now.
We tried an episode of Elspeth and it was pretty good. But it's pretty much Columbo with a lady who wears a lot of pink. But yet, Jatovi, my wife and I watched the show live action about behind the scenes at a video game company that's developing a Dungeons and Dragons type. I forget the name of it, but you know it.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up. I wanted to pull up the trailer for you. Because this is, like I said, I think you would enjoy it. The first 5 minutes of the show, it sets the tone, and you'll see. I mean, once you start watching it, you'll see. Okay, this is just dumb. This is just straight comedy. There is another show that I would love for you to watch because I want to hear you and your wife. It would be great to watch it. It's actually an anime called Death Parade, and
Death Parade.
Yeah. It is actually it's a neat story, and the way they tell it, because there are some very emotional moments in it. It's a very serious one, but Vox Machina though is just hilarious. It's just stupid.
It's tough to get my wife to watch animated stuff. I was watching Big Mouth for a while because it's filthy, but then I quit watching because it's filthy, and it was kind of the same, like just jizz and just the whole jerking off. It got to be too much after like 3-4 seasons.
It did. This is the trailer for Vox Machina, though. You'll like this one. Yeah, this is just.
Evil rises. Our only hope lies in these brave warriors.
What the fuck?
Right. Who else have we got?
I'm sorry, who the hell are you?
We're Vox Machina. We fuck shit up.
Let's go! Come on, work! Skeleton!
You can't be seriously considering them for such a task. Our reputation is less than stellar. If killing for gold isn't getting us anywhere, maybe we try doing some good this time?
Nah. Boring.
Kill Vox
If this evil persists, the kingdom will starve to death.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I suggest we run right now.
Fuck that. We fight.
Grog, you're hurt.
No big question. Is this normal?
Oh,
no.
It looks like more fun than the Dune series on HBO.
So, have you been watching it?
I leave it on in the background, but it's so ponderous and plus it's based on material that was written in the 70s. So
yeah.
And the funny thing is that the movies I thought were good. And they tried to do the pacing of the movies in the show, and it's just not working.
It's not working at all. Speaking of not working, because we only got a few more minutes to go and everything, I do have a question based on what Nick called this show and everything, just so we can keep things in uniform nature and everything like that. Every war has given us some sort of a decent TV series or all along those lines. I mean, North Korean War gave us MASH. Vietnam gave you Apocalypse Now, and China Beach, I think, was set in Vietnam, if I remember correctly, and everything. Is the war on Ukraine, which is what this thing was originally called and everything, are we going to get any sort of good movie or TV show out of this, knowing that Zelensky was a comedian himself and everything? But are we going to get anything that comes out of this is good in the sense of pop media?
I don't know how decent Ukrainian TV and movies are. I mean, Ukraine's a big country, like 40 plus million people. So it's possible they make decent stuff. I don't know that we'll get an American treatment of, TV treatment of the war.
I mean, we've already got we're not going to get the war, but we already have this trailer that came out years ago of where we are now.
At the dawn of the 21st century, the Army began a top-secret experiment.
Meet Joe Bowers, our first subject for the human hibernation experiment. As you know, this is highly classified. However, if successful, we believe humans can be stored indefinitely.
However, the trial run was prone to human error.
See you in a year.
And Joe slept slightly longer than expected. Half a millennium, to be exact. From Mike Judge, creator of Office Space and Beavis and Butthead.
Oh my God!
If you were the smartest person in the world...
This goes in your mouth. This one goes in your butt. Hang on a second. This one goes in your mouth.
And we're stuck with the dumbest people in history.
If you have one bucket that holds 2 gallons and another bucket that holds 5 gallons, how many buckets do you have?
2? What would you do?
Excuse me, I'm actually supposed to be getting out of prison.
You're in the wrong line.
I'm the smartest guy in the world? Says who?
The IQ test you took in prison. You got the highest score in history.
Even smarter than President Camacho.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America!
In the year 2505,
we got this guy. He's gonna fix everything. So you smart, huh?
The ordinary will be considered extraordinary.
I thought your head would be bigger.
Idiocracy.
For the smartest guy in the world, you're pretty dumb sometimes.
Great freaking movie. It seems like now. But Mike Judge is awesome. Every time he makes a movie, the studio screws him over, and so like they Office Space, they didn't promote it right. Idiocracy, they let it die, didn't put it in very many theaters, and so he gets cult hits, but the general public doesn't necessarily know.
And that's such a great movie. I didn't even realize. I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah, because Office Space. Yeah, they did kind of screw. And that was such a great one. A swing line stapler.
Yeah, we've already had because I think it wasn't. Didn't the Simpsons predict the? I don't know if they predicted one or did they predict two. I know they predicted one Trump presidency, but did they predict that he would have two and everything? But
no, I mean because that's just so crazy and ridiculous. But yeah, they did mention president. They didn't go into detail. It was a throwaway joke.
Right. It's a throwaway joke at the time and everything. And on that note, we get ready to get out of here. I know they're doing timeshares, and it's got another show later on. And then we've got Maxine and others on the network. So I'll see you fellas later on.
Nice hanging with you.
Good hanging with you too. Oh, when's the next Naked at Night recording?
I don't know. I've been bummed out, so I haven't wanted to do one because Trump won, and I'm just like, I need to lick my wounds. But we'll do one in the next week or two.
All right, no problem.
All right.
Talk to you later.